All right, guys. Today we are gonna be reacting to why is German football still divided. I didn't know there was such thing. We're gonna simply jump in. Let's go.
2023, RB Leipzig and Union Berlin competed in the Champions League. Two East German clubs at football's highest level. A historic moment 3 decades in the making. Yet, these two clubs tell a darker story. They're all that remains of East Germany's rich football heritage in the Bundesliga. And one wasn't even born when the Berlin Wall fell. To understand this story, we need to go back, way back. Before the wall, before the division, German football was unified. Clubs like Dresden and Leipzig weren't East German, they were just German. VfB Leipzig won the first ever German championship in 1903. Dynamo Dresden packed stadiums across Europe. Then came 1945. Germany split into 4 occupation zones. In the East, under Soviet control, football changed forever. While West Germany built what would become the Bundesliga, East Germany created the DDR Oberliga, a parallel football universe with its own rules, its own stars, and its own politics. Here's where things get interesting. While West Germany celebrated football, East Germany's communist leaders had a different scorecard in mind.
What the hell?
They literally turned potential footballers into rowers and swimmers. Anything to beat the West at the Olympics. But football wouldn't die easily. Instead, it became a political tool. The Stasi, East Germany's secret police, created their own club, BFC Dynamo.
I have to see that again, bro. You guys saw that big ass phone? God damn.
Secret police created their own club, BFC Dynamo. They won 10 straight titles from 1979 to 1988. How? By simply ordering the best players to join them. Imagine the FBI had their own team in the NFL, and then they used brute force to get all the best players. That's basically what was happening. When the wall fell in 1989, German football faced an unprecedented challenge. How do you merge 2 completely different football systems? The West had the Bundesliga, professional and profitable. The East had the DDR Oberliga, state-controlled and suddenly obsolete.
Yo, football in snow? No way. Football on snow? Nah.
The solution? Oof. A brutal selection process. Only 2 clubs from the East would make it to the Bundesliga. Just 2. Imagine telling Premier League clubs that only 2 of them could survive a merger. That's the scale of what happened. The lucky ones were Hansa Rostock, the last East German champions, and Dynamo Dresden. But lucky is relative. Rostock lasted 1 season before relegation. Dresden held on for 4 years. Then, not only dropped out of the Bundesliga, they fell all the way into the 4th tier due to financial problems. Let's follow what happened to some of the other giants of East German football in those first 5 years. Dynamo Berlin, the team that won 10 straight titles, dropped to the amateur leagues. Lokomotiv Leipzig, 1987 European Cup Winners' Cup finalists, bankrupt by 2004. Carl Zeiss Jena once played in a European final, made it to the 2nd division for just 2 years. The talent drain was immediate and devastating. Matthias Sammer, the East's brightest star, left Dresden for Stuttgart. By 1995, over 150 players were bought by Bundesliga clubs. Imagine if every good player in your league left at the same time. But player exodus was just the start. East German clubs faced problems Western teams couldn't imagine. Their sponsorship deals, all with state-owned companies that no longer existed. Their stadiums, built pre-1950 with no modern facilities. Their youth academies, once state-funded, now running on empty. Let's look at real numbers. Dynamo Dresden's main sponsor in 1989 was VEB Kombinat Robotron, a state-owned electronics manufacturer. By 1991, Robotron was gone. While Bayern Munich had the Olympic Stadium, Dynamo Dresden played in a crumbling Rudolf Harbig Stadium.
Damn, bro.
Basic improvement.
I want to know how real this is, man. I want to know how real this is. Wow, this is sad. It's sad, but incredible. Wow. And how much this city has developed to a level that is unheard of.
Improvements would cost millions they didn't have. Even light bulbs for evening games became a luxury. Facing extinction, clubs tried everything. Some examples were tragic. Chemnitzer signed aging Western stars on huge contracts, then couldn't pay their wages. FC Carl Zeiss Jena sold their training ground just to survive another season. Dynamo Berlin changed their name to FC Berlin, trying to escape their Stasi past. It didn't work.
Wow.
By 1995, the situation was clear. Of 14 East German clubs that entered the top 2 divisions in 1991, only 4 remained. The others were gone, relegated, bankrupt, or both. The integration of East German football serves as a warning. You can't just throw 2 systems together and expect fairness. The West German Federation treated it like a simple expansion. Add a few teams, problem solved. But they missed the bigger picture. Today, those decisions still echo. Cities like Dresden, with 550,000 people, have no top division team. Leipzig, population 600,000, only returned to the top through energy drink millions. Meanwhile, much smaller western cities like Freiburg, which has 230,000 people, and Augsburg, which has 295,000, have established Bundesliga clubs. The numbers tell the story. East German average income, 20% lower than the West. Population, 2 million people left after 1990. Major companies, almost none headquartered in the East. Football clubs need money to survive, and suddenly, there was none. But then, in 2009, something changed. Red Bull saw an opportunity nobody else would touch.
Okay.
They bought SSV Mark Renstadt, a 5th division club, and transformed it into RB Leipzig. Their method? Simple. Money. And lots of it. Modern facilities, professional management, youth development. Within 7 years, they reached the Bundesliga. Then there's Union Berlin, the anti-Leipzig. Their story reads like a Hollywood script. When they needed money in 2004, fans didn't wait for a corporate savior. They donated blood, literally selling their blood to raise money. When they needed a renovated stadium, supporters built it themselves. 140,000 hours of free labor. By 2019, Union reached the Bundesliga. By 2023, they qualified for the Champions League.
Wow.
No energy drink money, no corporate takeover, just pure, stubborn determination. So what's the solution for the other East German clubs? The truth is, there's no easy answer. But there are lessons to learn from both success stories. The Leipzig model.
If you can find like a very good Red Bull is a very good sponsorship. Get Monster instead of Red Bull, Monster. There you go.
Modern facilities, youth development, professional management, but requires massive investment.
Yep.
The Union Berlin way, community ownership, passionate fan base, sustainable growth, but requires incredible patience and dedication. The real challenge isn't just money. It's building sustainable clubs in a region that's still dealing with economic disparities. Cities like Dresden, Magdeburg, and Rostock have the fan base. They have the history. What they need is investment that respects their identity while building for the future. This
is where you have to be very careful, because see, as an American, we don't have this, which is what a lot of Germans too, and a lot of European countries have. It's the identity of where you're coming from or where you came from. See, that alone, that's the sauce. That's the sauce.
Makes this story bigger than football. It's about how societies handle massive change. When we tear down walls, we need to build bridges just as quickly.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're left with empty stadiums and forgotten glory. A reminder that some divisions last longer after the concrete crumbles. But maybe, just maybe, we're seeing the start of a renaissance. Union Berlin proved you can succeed while keeping your soul. RB Leipzig showed that the region can support top-level football, and a couple of my other videos talk about this as well. And in their wake, other clubs are finding their feet. Dynamo Dresden still draws crowds that would make Premier League clubs jealous, and they're in the third tier. Magdeburg is climbing back up the leagues, currently sitting in third place in 2 Bundesliga. The ghosts of East Germans football aren't dead. They're waiting to be reborn. And that's what makes this story important for football fans everywhere. Because in every country, there are forgotten clubs, forgotten regions, forgotten fans. And sometimes all they need is a chance to prove themselves again.
Yeah, I agree. That's all that they need. That's all they need. But they have to be determination. Man, I didn't know this. I know there was a discrepancy between East Germany and West Germany, but not to that level. Wow. It's incredible. You should always learn something new, man. Wow. Well, if you live in East Germany, let me know what you guys think about this. I think some of these cities they can sustain a football club. They can. It's just a matter of just really committing to it, right? That's the only thing. You have to commit to it. That's what it is. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you next one.